Hey everybody, my name is Tracy Brown and I am the founder of Stained Glass Spirit, and you are participating in the From Hatred to Harmony live summit all day. I get to talk to some amazing people about their understanding of how our spiritual beliefs, our spiritual practices, our spiritual foundation is the foundation for anti-racism work. Why should we interrupt racism? Why should we end racism? And what do our spiritual teachings tell us about that? And my guest in this episode is Reverend Celeste Frazier. And because we have decided that these segments are going to be 30 minutes to honor your time, we're going to punch it. We're going to punch it hard. I am not doing formal introductions for my guests because you are going to learn so much about them just by hearing their views and hearing what they have to share with you. And so we're going to dive right in. So, Reverend Celeste, welcome to the From Hatred to Harmony Summit.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
As you know, one of the things that I said to everybody was, I'm shocked when I hear people of faith who are still saying things like, why are we talking about racism? Or why are we spending time with this? Or, racism, that's not spiritual talk. And, or I think it's horrible, but, I don't come to church to hear about that. And so that was one of the main reasons I decided to pull together 11 people to give different perspectives of why people who are spiritual, why people who are guided by spirit and by faith should not only be talking about racism, but should be doing things to interrupt or end it. So why is this topic important to you?
Well, first of all, when we say that we believe in the individualization of the spirit in us and that all of us are individualizations of the one spirit, that means I don't cut my heart out and stop caring about another aspect of spirit. And so I don't say, well, that's not my problem. Jesus the Christ gave us examples of what it means to take care of each other, even if that person is perceived to be the enemy, is perceived to be a Samaritan or dirty or whatever those perceptions might be. I've got to look for God, and I've got to look for a way to be authentic with myself by being in my loving. And so I can't not care. And so it's an opportunity for me to exercise my love muscle. And that's what a minister is. It's here to aid and to support in any way possible,
Yes, yes. I'm over here like some amens and some hallelujahs on that. And I love that. I can't not care. Like, how can you not care that people are treated unfairly, systemically, over and over and over again? And I love that you jumped right in with the Bible because,
Mm-hmm.
right, because of all the reasons, right?
Yeah. Heaven is within us, right? And so if heaven is within us, then the being that I think of, or the energy that I think of as being my support, lives in me. So I get to be an expression of that support.
Yes. Yeah. So, but people say it's so hard or it's so emotional.
Well, we have to look at, we're human beings. So the human aspect of us does have to deal with the emotions, does have to deal with the thoughts. We do have to deal with those irritating thoughts, those dangerous thoughts, those scary thoughts. We do have to deal with those. And what I've been working with personally is how I deal with my fears and how I deal with the questions that I have about my safety, whether it's physical safety or safety as a person of color or safety as a human being who is susceptible to all of these things that are being projected out there. And how can I make these decisions when I get invited to a pool party that a white person is giving that I don't feel safe? And so what I have to really know is that there's a presence that I get to cling to. A young lady was talking the other day in the spiritual community because she has mental and emotional issues. And she says, so I have to cling to God. And I loved that because that's like, I could then picture like a virtual teddy bear. So I get to use what is in me to support me in my journey to freedom. Because that's what we're talking about too. We're talking about freedom from discord of every nature. And so if I'm going to be freeing my mind, then I've got to just face it and not spiritually bypass it and say, well, we're all one and it's all good. I've got to be present with that fear. I've got to be present with those thoughts that may be from the past, and why are they in the present? And are they here to support me in a greater understanding? Are they here to prompt me to be still and be present with the presence so that I can know that in that space of love, of oneness, that I can blanket my love over everybody. And I can bless those who despitefully use me. I can bless those who curse me. But if I have nothing to curse or nothing to bless, then I'm not really acting in faith or from faith. And so I can't move from fear to faith if I'm not willing to do so.
Ashe, ashe. Yes. So, so, and this is why I want to be in this conversation with so many different people, right? I do want the spiritual, but it's also got to be real. Like, we live in the world every day. So I think it is real. Like, fear shows up if I am the person being accused of being racist. Fear shows up if I am the person who's the target of racism.
Yeah.
That fear is there, and it's in all of us. What else really drives you to talk about this and to be so passionate about ending racism?
Because of my experiences as a person of color, of the pain that I have felt being called the N-word, of the pain that I have felt feeling limited by somebody else's acceptance or lack of acceptance for me. Plus, with the whole police thing, I grew up in a household with a police officer who himself was discriminated against by his color. And so everybody in my family, most of the people in my orbit are dealing with the issues of race. And so as I am in the world and I am interacting with people who have their heads in the sand, I am a teacher primarily. And so I cannot let you remain ignorant. And not that I'm seeing you as ignorant, but I've got to kind of like do that gentle shake and say, wake up, because this is not, a privileged world that we're all living in. Some of us do not have the ease to be able to just skip along through life because there are real threats that are not imagined, but that we have been through. And if you say you care about me, if you say you love me, if you say I am in community with you, then you have to know that I am moving through this experience, and you cannot continue to just pull the blanket over your eyes or just to dismiss that these are very real issues, and that we as spiritual leaders have a what you call mandate to really stop abuse, whether it be child abuse, whether it be elder abuse, whether it be racial abuse. We have a mandate to respond to it, to be present, to be available, to be compassionate, both with the offended and with the offender who doesn't really know the level of harm that they're doing, both to the seeming victim and to themselves as the perpetrator. That kind of a hellish energy is something that they're going to have to live with when they lay their head down at the end of the day. And so whether it's Derek Chauvin or whether it's, you know, the man who put 4 bullets into Philando Castillo or any of the names that we can think of being, you know, shooting people in the back, like, you're going to have to be supported through your process of reckoning with the choices that you made, because you are just like the rest of us. You have your thought processes and your emotions that have to be dealt with. And so to support you in avoiding danger, I'm not your parent, but I'm your sister. And as your sister, I'm part of the family that is to support you in being better than you think you are, and being aware of the ramifications that can bring you more harm. Amy in the park, who didn't think that she was going to be losing her job or her dog when she decided to exercise her white privilege, you know. And so in that Karen moment, she wasn't thinking about her loss of job. She wasn't thinking about her loss of dog. She wasn't thinking about public humiliation. She was just thinking about what she wants. And we cannot continue to live in these silos so that our wants are the only thing that is relevant to us. We live in a universe, and God presented us with all of these millions of billions of people so that we can learn, as Rodney King would say, how to get along. Right?
Right. So you like,
No?
you just dropped 3 or 4 things that, you know, I just cannot let go by, even though we only have 30 minutes. So you said, you know, at heart, you're a teacher. And so because of that, sometimes you got to give people a gentle shake. Now, Celeste Frazier, you are not known for a gentle shake.
I don't want to right off
I mean, I just, it's like a gentle shake is not your reputation, right? You're a gentle shake for, if that's a gentle shake for you, right? Because you are appropriately so. So don't get me wrong. You know, you are in, you know, you're going to be in my face if I am being willfully ignorant, or if I am blind to what the impact of my actions are. And if I am blind to the impact of my actions, you know, you are going to be like, okay, right here, here's the impact. Now, can you see it? And you know, I love that. I think it's challenging for many people to have the mirror that close to them and not realize what they have been missing. So you know, intent does not equal impact, and we have to deal with impact. So yeah, I just can't let that go without comment. And
well, they don't change when I'm gentle. That when I'm in their face, that's when they go, oh, wait a minute, you know.
Well, it's good to have more than one tool in the toolkit, right? One of my favorite lessons in almost anything I facilitate is, right, you've got to have a whole lot of tools, and then know which ones to use at which time. So that's fair, that you may start with a gentle shake and then it's like, that's not working, let me use a different tool. And then the other thing, another thing that you said that I just want to comment on is the phrase spiritual, as a spiritual leader, there's a mandate to stop abuse. And I've used, you know, there's a mandate to teach and there's a mandate to take action. And I think after today, I'm going to also be using, there's a mandate to stop abuse, because the moment you said it, I thought about when we go through training as a licensed Unity teacher, as a chaplain, as a religious science practitioner, as a minister in any denomination, we are always taught about what is mandated reporting and what kinds of abuse must you report. Now, there are a lot of other kinds of abuse that you don't have to report to legal authorities, but our job is to stop the abuse. What if even one person after this conversation begins to think about racism as not something out there over there. It's just happening and it's not a part of my life, but it is actual physical, mental, and emotional abuse.
Yeah. And
So thank you.
energy, the energy of it all doesn't go away. I mean, there's no mistake that people in Germany are out there in the streets. I mean, they have their own issues, but they saw ours. And there's nothing that can happen on this planet that's not going to affect anyone else. And so energetically, we're swimming in this hatred, we're swimming in this fear, and we're swimming in this helplessness. And so when people strike out, you know, then they're seeking in desperation for some kind of a relief. And that's, I'm sure, the only reason that people come to church. They have to, they can be present with their God at home, but to come in fellowship to get the group consciousness, the group energy, and the group support is what people come for, so that they're not just trying to do it on their own. And so we have to understand that, you know, energetically, there is no one place where it happens. It happens universally because we still are one.
Yes, 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 yes. And framing it in the context of abuse, I think also will make it easier for people to understand the collective trauma and the PTSD
Yes,
that
that's
you know, Black people and people of color, but especially African Americans, feel every time there's another death in the while someone is in the custody of the police, every time they don't even really get to be in custody because they're shot, every time there is an Amy Cooper incident in a public place, you know,
or
every time. Or
in a
repeat.
private.
Yeah,
I've,
yeah, even more in a private place, right?
I've had
So
Amy in my life. Come on now.
it's, you know, it is, we know what PTSD is. We also know that there can be post-traumatic growth when the healing practices are applied, when there is a shift, when the condition ends, that we can grow from that kind of trauma. And you know, and most of us do grow from the trauma, but that doesn't mean that in the moment of an incident, or for a week after a series of incidents, or for a month, you're right back there as if it's the very first time that you
I'm
were
just
in work.
my traumatic stress syndrome like yesterday. Like yesterday. And for me, it took a lot of enlisting of prayer and my practice and, you know, a Course in Miracles, so much for me to get back to that place where I can go to spirit. But I mean, it's just, and then I have to protect myself because people are constantly sending me videos in Messenger and otherwise. Just like this morning, there was a video that some white guys had a Confederate flag and were hanging some kind of individual, and I didn't open it, but I knew that somebody hanging from a noose was not something I wanted to start my day looking at, right?
Right.
Because I'm constantly cultivating my peace, and I've invested thousands to cultivate my peace. And so I've got to know when I'm ready and willing to be able to deal with that again, you know, and it really does bring it all back as if I was in present moment in that situation where my life is being threatened.
Yeah, you just reminded me that what is often invisible is how much those of us who are spiritually trained, how much time and energy is required, how much time and energy is invested in maintaining my individual peace.
Yeah.
in returning to peace, in, this happened, I just saw this video, and oh, wait a minute, I recognize I have just spun out, which is my human reaction. And now, okay, I need to go meditate for 30 minutes. And then, 2 hours later, oh, okay, I need to go journal because 3 more things happen later in the day. And at the same time, as a spiritual leader, you've got to be in service
Yes.
to others who are coming to you for guidance.
I'm with a full cup, not an empty one. Right? Because
Yeah.
if I'm spent, I'm of no earthly good, and unless I spend enough time in the heavenly realm, in the realm of spirit, in the realm of truth and peace and love, I don't have anything in my cup to offer.
Yeah.
That remains, that is also a mandate. That's a mandate for me to be the being, so that I can communicate with the human in any other life form, but to be the being is to really be able to embody the truth of who I am as spirit.
Yeah, it's complicated stuff, and it's real, it's tangible.
Yeah.
So is there any other like really key message that when you were thinking about what's the spiritual foundation for interrupting or ending racism and for actually being involved? Is there anything else that you really want?
It's about a Christ consciousness.
Mm.
It's about not just spouting the name Jesus, but having a real sense of my oneness with the one, and really being able to bring that to bear when I'm confronted with, affected by, or troubled by even some kind of separation, because separation always leads to being confined in some way, being restricted, and I've been studying a lot too around the ancient spirituality of the African people. And I had to make an inquiry. What is it that got our people through those horrific times? And there was that sense of the whether it was speaking in tongues, or whether it was some kind of a dancing, or whether it was some kind of a sing or combination shouting and singing, there was that release, and there was that song that absolutely connected and confirmed and really centered and anchored us in the awareness of who we are. All of the wonderful songs that are still being sung centuries later, and all of the intuitive wisdom that we've been able to lean into and lean on and accept from our ancestors. And that is the energy that our young people are bringing today. They are bringing it forth unabashedly, unapologetically, and they are bringing the energy of our ancestors to bear. Some of them are the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement. Some of them are in other organizations. They may be with William Barber. They may be with, the Poor People's Movement. They may be in their own particular communities, but there is a fearlessness and a passion and a compassion to stay connected to what's real, what's true, and the loving energy of this divine essence that we will never shake off. It will forever be a part of our substance, the fiber of our being. And so that enables us to be able to continue to go there for strength, for reinforcement, for understanding, and for guidance to how to navigate through this very treacherous terrain. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Ooh.
So it's really wonderful to be able to be still and allow myself to be pulled into the divine and what it has to say to me that are beyond words, but the very energy that lets me know that I am part of this love field that no one is outside of. And that in that field, that I can truly embrace and unconditionally love all life, because there's nothing outside of it.
Yeah, I think that pretty much
So that
ties a
is
bow on
what I've
that.
been working with, and what I continue to seek, and allow myself to be vulnerable enough to listen for, and to invoke and invite, to take off my I am an expert hat and just be present with the part of me that feels fragile, and the part of me that feels hopeless, and the part of me that feels helpless, so that I can be available to everything that is for my highest and best good. Because I know the nature of spirit is to love me in that way so completely and so magnificently, that I can really rest in that virtual teddy bear and be supported and comforted by its grace.
What a great image to have in mind, right? I just want to remind people that this is one of 11 sessions that are part of the From Hatred to Harmony Summit. And you can find all of the sessions on the Stained Glass Spirit Facebook page. Please do a watch party or share with your friends and links to them, because this is a really important conversation for those of us who are spiritually grounded and spiritually guided, those of us who are people in faith, to understand what is it that our teachings compel us to do, or as Reverend Celeste said, what is our spiritual mandate to stop the abuse. So my name is Tracy Brown, and I am the founder of Stained Glass Spirit and the author of the book, Stained Glass Spirit, Becoming a Spiritual Community Where Oneness Does Not Require Sameness. And I've been talking with the fabulous Reverend Celeste Frazier. Celeste, thanks so much for being with me today. Any closing comment?
Thank you for the invitation. And I just want us to remember the real part of us is love. And anything outside of that does not deserve our attention or our life energy, because our real power, our real strength comes from love.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me here.